it. Don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. They don't wanna see me care. Anytime I make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up, cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
It is going to be exactly what I think. Hi folks, Boris Johnson here. I am thrilled to be asked to contribute a column to the Daily Mail. It is going to be completely unexpurgated stuff. I may even have to cover politics, but I'll obviously try to do that as little as possible, unless I absolutely have to. I'm much looking forward to making my first contribution to those illustrious pages on Saturday. Join me in the Daily Mail on Saturday.
Well, look, this was indeed a dark, dark day in the history of democracy. But you have to remember that everybody, every leader in Scotland, Wales and in Westminster did exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. We all disproportionately knee-jerked in response to a seasonal virus. And yes, people did die, but people die every day. And that's what happens. And really, this isn't going to make any difference whatsoever. So all I can do is call upon the people of Westminster to further sanction Johnson because he's just a bad guy. So, you know, when the report comes to the Commons, they should really get tore into him because he's a bad guy, and I'm great.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, hearts full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me?
Well, it's just me. I've been sadly let down by both my colleagues. What can I say? It's like at Olympic, guys. I tell you what, though, I'll give you a choice. So the two idiots have ditched me and left me on my own. So I can either go through the news on my own, while drinking myself slowly into oblivion and chat with you guys on the chat, or I can play an old air show and still remain here in the chat, and you know, it's up to you. The ball's in your court, troll room. Meanwhile, I don't know how you are, but I'm freaking melting here. I'm not turning the fan off either because it's just way too hot. So let me know. Let me know. Come on, I'm in the chat. I'm there. I can see you. Talk to me. Talk to me. I don't bite. Not often. Not hard. Unless you want me to. But anyway. So yeah. So that's the kind of situation that we're in. I had everything planned. I had loads of things all set up for this, and none of them have come true because I've been dumped. So Andrew says, go it alone. I mean, we get dumped yesterday as well. It just seems to be the thing these days. People dump us and then cut down the amount of time they want us to appear on shows and things like that. So, you know, I'm not feeling the love. I'm not feeling the love. But having said that, I was watching I downloaded one of our older shows because I needed some footage of someone that was in it, who wasn't Ben, and I was actually watching the show to see if he was in it, and my God, it was hilarious. I think we were edgier 9 months ago than we are now. I think we've sanitized ourselves too much. So I don't know. I think yeah, I've got bookmarks. I can go through bookmarks. So let's start with Bojo. Did you see him in the pre-roll? What an absolute tosspot, isn't he? So I mean, what does he get? I think he gets 115 grand a year on his stipend or something from being a prime minister or whatever. So he gets that, and then he's got all his other interests. I mean, I think what was it, 4 million he made on his last speaking tour, which lasted 3 months or something. He only missed 187 votes in the Commons. And then he's got his gig with the Daily Mail, because the guy's a complete and utter narcissist. He just has to be in the public eye. And most of them do, you know, because they really need to be Nippy on the morning couch. As long as Nippy's not on the casting couch, we wouldn't want to see that. Oh my God. Hey, mind you, that could be a strategy, because that's something that could bring porn down. You know, if you made it with someone like Nippy, people would be like, whoa, no, I can't take that. I mean, even the most perverse of us couldn't take that, surely. I do like that you can see something when I'm in my glorious full screen just on the camera, not on Ring Central, because there's something up there on the wall that maybe you thought had disappeared, but now it's still there. They are. You see it? Right. We have spoken about Sophie. Hi. We have spoken about Person of Interest. Person of Interest is was a fantastic series. It was that Specky guy, the wee Specky guy, and Jim Cazile or whatever his name is. I can't see it. Ben could see it, but you know, he was good, good looking guy, and he was the ex-Marine type guy or something like that. And he did the dirty work for the computer, because the computer watched everything, and it was like, do you remember God's Eye and Fast and Furious? It was a bit like that kind of thing, or was that a mission? No, it was Fast and Furious, I think. So anyway, well, the computer sees everything and it works out what's going to happen, a bit like pre-crime, like, you know, like happens in Scotland. The sheriff makes up your mind for you. I'll bang on about Count Duckula, because Count Duckula. Count Duckula. I used to love. Did you guys ever watch Count Duckula? I was probably way too old for it, but I really loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I used to watch it all the time. Count Duckula. But cartoons were brilliant back then, because they were always made on two levels. They were made on the level for the kids, and there was this subtext, like The Simpsons, and there was this subtext in them as well that suited the adults. And then Channel 4 got the hang of cartoons and started making things like Family Guy, which are no use whatsoever in South Park, right? Because those are no use. It's no use making cartoons like that, in my view, right? Because what you're doing is you're encouraging kids to watch them, and people let their kids watch them because it's just a cartoon. And these are not suitable for children to watch. But, you know, people do it, you know, and that's called bad parenting. Because they shouldn't be watching kids should not be watching South Park, and they shouldn't be watching Family Guy either. Simpsons can be dubious, but it's usually all right. Yes, right. Thank you, the techie. Vaughn got me the Iona book. It's great. Excellent. Yes, I will do that. I was chatting with Ed today. I think we're going for the 4th of July. We could bring it a week forward. If it depends on whether we've got a guest for the 29th, I think. So if we've got a guest for the 29th, fine. If not, we'll do Ed then. And failing that, we'll do Ed on the 4th of July. But Latimer's podcast is now up on YouTube as well. So it's audio only because Latimer doesn't like to show his face. He's a kind of shy, retiring elderly gentleman. But a decent spud. But yeah, so he's on the podcast, and he's had some good views already. And obviously you can get it on audio podcasts as well. Right, let's have a quick look. What's everybody saying? Count Duckula, yeah. Thank you, the Teddy, Ducky Poo. What was it? There was a nanny in Count Duckula, wasn't there? There was a nanny that used to look after him. The death of Paul McCartney. Oh, yeah, well, that's the guy that lives in Liverpool. Well, looks exactly like him. Yeah, there is that. Right, where are we? Artifacts in Reality, Melted Mushroom, Vaughn, hello. Hi, Frankie. Yep, cool. Good to see all you guys coming in. Sophie's talking about something I probably don't want to mention on. Oh, Kazil's been talking about it. Wow. Yeah, that's a bit creepy. If people actually do that, right? If they do that, it's so far out there that it's really, really creepy. I mean, do you not think people look younger than they used to, though? Because I remember, when someone was 60 in the old days when you were a kid, they looked ancient. And you think they were on their last legs, but, nowadays, I mean, look at me. I still look reasonable. I don't look like I'm on my last legs yet, do I? Maybe. But yeah, I think people generally, they tend to wear better these days. I don't know why. Probably, I wouldn't say it's less stress, maybe less manual work, maybe that's what it is. I know what you mean, Frankie. Every time I look in the mirror, I think, who's that old fat guy? And what's he doing in my mirror? Right. Where were we? What were we talking about? So Bojo, yeah, Bojo's got to have he's got to have his public voice, so he's going to be in the Daily Mail. And it was quite interesting. 9 months ago, we did that show that I was listening to earlier, and there's a bit in it I'm going to clip out because, oh my God, I really rip into him. And I mean, if you like Bojo, that's fine. You can like who you like. You can like anyone you like, and you can either think they're a good guy or a bad guy, or they're doing good or they're not doing good. But I personally don't think there's anyone in that house that's looking out for you, and that includes Andrew Bridgen. I don't think anyone in there is looking out for you. They've all got their own agenda. They're all working to their own, theories and to their own ends, because basically they're all trying to feather their own nest. I just don't. I think the whole system is rotten. It really is, and it does need to be changed in a non-violent way, as we say. Right. Next, let's move on. Well, let's move on. Just Stop Oil went to the opera. What was all that about? I mean, it's like, I'm sorry for laughing already, but so Just Stop Oil are disrupting, and I can understand disrupting things like snooker and the races and in central London and all that, where you're getting loads of media attention. But they went to Glenburn Opera or something and disrupted it using like a confetti cannon and an air horn. It's like the opera. One, you've got a fairly limited amount of people there anyway because it's only a theatre. But is this an example of how posh they are? And it's let's face it, it's really only the well-off middle class and the posh and the toffs that can afford to be concerned about the planet and climate change, because the rest of us are trying to grub around and make an existence are just doing it where we can. And that includes entire countries, like Africa, or entire continents like Africa, the Middle East, India, China, Russia. They're not concerned with climate change because they don't have the luxury of having the luxuries that the West has got. And yet it seems to me that the West seem to be doing their best to get rid of their luxuries. It's like remember those monk guys that used to walk about and self-flagellate, whipping themselves with chains and hooks and things. That seems to be what the West is doing these days. They seem to be in a case of self-flagellation. They're punishing themselves for some kind of perceived, badness that they've done in the past, perhaps. But you're not really going to achieve anything, because if we look at what the West uses compared to all these developing nations, what's the point? Really, what's the point? It's a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean. And remember, the whole thing is a teeny, teeny, teeny part of the atmosphere, right? Because carbon dioxide is a teeny, teeny, teeny part of the atmosphere, and the part that we produce is a teeny, 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 teeny infinitesimally small part of that. So, really, it's you're hard pushed to find it. But if these people want to go out and do their thing, then good luck to you. And it's like that girl Poppy, Poppy, the girl that worked in the cafe, who was quite posh. She was a wee bit goth, with the choker and all that. 19, going on, 11? She didn't seem the brightest, but she was a wee bit on the posh side, wasn't she? And I've got to feel a bit sorry for these people, because they're like, she seemed to be genuinely in fear and genuinely terrified that the planet was going to self-combust, or can't say it. Or it was going to burst into flame at any point in time. And it really, it's sad that people have been brainwashed to this extent. How do you get someone to that state? Well, I tell you what, we know how to get people to that state, don't we? Because we've seen it happen over the last 3 years. And remember, all those 3-word slogans repeated 3 times, that's a classic brainwashing technique. And you put that on the TV and away you go. So, that's Just Stop Oil at the opera. Yeah, I think that just sums them up, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll go and disrupt the local opera. It's almost as, and it's the one that Ben uses as an example of government overreach gone mad, was when they shut down the ballet at Eastbourne because it was the Russian ballet. Now that's actually quite interesting, because that brings us on to Canada, because Canada have excuse me, I'm just going to open another can. But Canada have seized a Russian cargo plane. Those big, those really big Russian cargo planes they have. Well, they appear to have seized one of them, and Russia's not happy about it. So the Russian ambassador and their officials in Canada have said there will be repercussions. So they haven't said what the repercussions will be. Haven't said when the repercussions will be. But apparently there will be repercussions, so the Canadians better watch out. And on top of that, Russia have warned their citizens not to travel to Canada because of attacks on them by Canadians. I'd not heard of this. And while we're on the topic of Canada, and we touched on the wildfires on Wednesday, but I think 3 people were arrested today for arson, for setting fires, and the fires were quickly put out. So quite interesting, because that's what we were talking about on Wednesday. Like, most of these fires that occur, whether they be in Canada, whether they be in Australia, whether they be in California or other parts of the United States, or even in this country, most of them come about because of human activity. And when we say human activity, it's generally deliberate human activity, i.e. someone set them, which isn't a good thing. Trauma-induced mind control. Yeah, well, I think so, because the government's always tried to put you into a state of fear and alarm, because if they have you in a state of fear and alarm, you become very malleable. And then they can say, well, we will protect you from this and this and this. And really, they don't protect you from anything, because there's nothing to protect you from, because they put you in a state of fear and alarm over something that probably you don't need protected from at all. So, that's kind of government. That's the way government works, isn't it? It's one of their major control systems for keeping people under control. Right. What about Caroline Lucas? So Caroline Lucas is the single the single Green Party MP in Westminster. So not only is she the only MP for the Green Party, she's actually the party leader, because she's the only MP for the Green Party. So she's doing a Hibsa there. But yeah, so she's a party leader, and she's going to not stand at the next general election because she's done her bit, and she's going to retire. No, she's not going to retire. She says she's not standing because she wants to concentrate on pursuing climate change. I don't understand this. How can you pursue climate change any better when you're not in Westminster than when you were in Westminster? I really don't understand her thinking on this. So, unless maybe she's been up to something she doesn't want to find out. Oh. Meanwhile, staying at Westminster, right? Nadine Dorries. Now she's a strange girl, isn't she? Because apparently she's now said that she's not quite going to resign straight away, because she wants to find out, or she wants an explanation as to why she's not getting her peership, or whatever you call it. She wants to know why she's not getting made a lady. That ain't no lady. That's Nadine. So she wants to find out why. So she wants answers before she resigns. Now, how big is this girl's ego? I mean, really? And this is the one that thinks Boris would never lie to her. But he's lied to absolutely everybody else. So why would it be any different? Why would she be any different? Why would he not lie to her? He's lied to everyone else. He's even lied to Carrie, hasn't he? So, yeah, Ben's fine. He's just an arsehole. Nothing wrong with him. So don't worry about him. He's not ill or anything like that. He's away out in the piss with his wife. That's basically it. So don't feel sorry for him. I couldn't get a babysitter for Saturday, so I'm going on Friday instead. Oh, I says, that's okay, Ben, you just go. It's only our top show of the week that brings in the least amount of money. Sorry, the most amount of money. Now remember, if you want to, you can always donate to us using Ko-fi, and in which case it'll ask you to input a message if you want, and a computerized voice would read that message out then. And it would do it live and interrupt me, and you guys would get to hear it. But that's only if you want to. You can also do super chats and things. I'd prefer it if you did Ko-fi, because Ko-fi and PayPal take about 1.5%, whereas YouTube, when you do a super chat, take 30% of what you donate. 30 freaking percent. Right. So yeah, don't feel sorry for Ben. Yeah, so that was Nadine. Is there anything else to cover in Westminster? Anything else happened there this week that we want to talk about? Probably not. What about Creepy Joe? What about Creepy Uncle Joe? Did you see him with Eva Longoria? He does have a habit of running those thumbs high. And I've seen him do this a few times with a few women. You know, he grabs them quite high up on the torso, shall we say. And then as he's pulling his hands back, he tends to flip his little thumbs up and caress the bottom of their bosom, shall we say. She wasn't having much truck with it. She pulled his hands down and stepped away quite sharply. But yeah, he's a little bit creepy. He's not getting any better in his old age. It's not pretty. It's a bit desperate, really, isn't it? It's a bit sad, and I don't know what Joel thinks of this. But hey, it's just Creepy Joe. He's done it a few times. Spotify have Spotify and Archwell Audio. I mean, where did they come up with the name? The name is terrible. So anyway, Spotify and Archwell Audio have decided to mutually part ways. So I don't know how much of the 20 million they actually got, if they got any or if they got some, because I think they only delivered a couple of their podcasts. So I think I'd be asking for a refund if I'd given them anything from the Spotify point of view. I didn't know Spotify was Swedish. I found that out today as well. So they're a Swedish company apparently. And speaking of Swedish companies, you know, there's a Swedish company that's tried to foist heat pumps on Europe because they're going to let you rent one, basically. So, pardon me, instead of paying all the money up front, you pay this company €80 a month and they'll install your heat pump for you. Which, so that's €80 a month straight away. And then according to some articles in the papers today, your bill under a heat pump could go up by 70% over gas. That's steep. So if you say you were paying 100 quid, you know, a month for your gas, 70% increase is what? 100, that's 170 quid a month. Steep. That's a lot. Don't think I'd like that. Heat pumps, and you've got to remember as well, heat pumps are noisy. They get noisier as they get older. They take up a lot of space. They break down an awful lot, and they don't appear to be terribly efficient, especially in extreme heat and in extreme cold. So the kind of conditions we get to a degree here, you know, when it's cold all the time in Scotland, a heat pump's never going to heat the place enough. Yeah, the noise of them will drive you mad. Unless you've got a huge garden you can put it at the bottom of the garden. You can't really attach these things to your house because they would just vibrate the whole house. Imagine a block of flats. You'd like, I mean, you know what it's like in an office building when you've seen these heat pump things running and they've got them in a like cordoned off section of the car park or something. They try and keep them away from the buildings because they are noisy, or they stick them on the roof. You know, and the thing is, that's an office where it's noisy anyway. Imagine what it's like at night when the heat pumps are still running and nobody's talking, you know. That'd be great, wouldn't it? You're going to get a great night's sleep. If you like kind of constant rumbling noise, it might help you, but nah, it would drive you mad. You're right, Melton Mushroom. So, did anyone see Tucker? So Tucker's had a couple of extra episodes since we left. One was about American values, and then the second one was about him calling Joe Biden I want to be tyrant, or I want to be dictator. Which he made a few good points, and I saw someone saying that it was like a rant, and I don't think it was like a rant because he just basically spelled out things that dictators do, and then compared them to things that Joe Biden has done or is doing. And way there we go. Thank you, Vaughn. You're a lovely man. It's not true what they say about you at all. You had a heat pump. Looks like Melted Mushroom had a heat pump. It was in the house. Oh my God, no wonder it sent your wife round the bend. Did you not hear Kofi talk? I heard that. That's a good point. Did you not hear it? I changed something, right? Right, so I apologise to that. So what Vaughn's message said was something along the lines of, this is for you, John, and not for the little pisshead who couldn't be bothered to turn up tonight. And that is because I need to put it into application audio. Okay, because I'm not just capturing the desktop audio anymore, I'm capturing particular parts of the audio. So as I could give Ben some filtering on his audio so he doesn't sound as bad as he does normally. There's another one! Where's that wuss Ben? Go get him, Jaipo. And thank you, Shalini. I can't because he's away out. He's away out with his wife. He's out in the sauce. No, I hear you were out in the sauce earlier, Shalini. I hope you had a good time. Works drinky poos. Quite hot though, would it not be? Was it busy? Can't remember the last time I was in a pub. Having drinky poos with friends, because I don't have any more friends. Don't have friends anymore because they were all assholes, weren't they? Did you guys lose a lot of friends during the last 3 years? It's not that you've lost them, it's just that you can't really be bothered with them because they can't see. And it's difficult when people are like that, and you can't really talk to them anymore because there's so many things obviously wrong in the world, and they still think everything's going along great, you know? Stop being PC. When was that PC? You guys should watch that. You should go back and watch that episode from 9 months ago. I think it was called Chill Out and Relax or something. Because I really go to town on it. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of disappointing when people that you thought were quite sensible people, and you know, and most of them were professionals, and you know, they were well educated, and yet they just like took it in like a salmon gulping down a fly, you know. They just took it in and they were on the line and that was it. They never strayed off it. I just find it quite disturbing that people could be so quick because they were terrified of something that happens to everyone. And you know what I mean by that. But they were terrified it was going to happen to them sooner rather than later, and yet they actually opened their eyes and had a look. There wasn't really any evidence to say that it was going to happen, and when you go back and look at the rates, there wasn't any real difference. There's still not any real difference between the years. You know, 2018 was as bad as 2020. 2018, you know, was a bad flu year. I'll do that, Andrew. I shall share the URL on my Twitter. Oh, so Shalina says, was okay. Only had a few bails because she's lightweight. Well, that you know, that's not a bad thing, Shalini, because let's face it, you're quite small, so your probably tolerance for it's quite low. So you really don't have to spend a lot of money. You know, 2 or 3 beers and you're anyone's. 4 and you'd maybe even consider one. Sorry, Vaughn. Yeah, there were a lot of them. A lot of people were duped. Well, what have we got here? Well, you wouldn't have heard that then, so there was another. Right, okay. Sorry. Let me carry on. Yeah, I think people, well, they don't want to acknowledge that they were duped because it's like, it's like they've then got to face the fact that they were stupid and did things that, in retrospect, were really, really pretty silly. Always good when your beers are bought for you, Shalini. Always good. That is true.
That's true.
Right. Moving on. What should we move on? So, let's have a look. GB News. Did you see GB News? They put out some cartoon about the changing shape of people because they're working from home is going to make people change shape, right? So basically they're saying that people are turning into Wall-E, you know, the people that were in the chairs and things. And that's kind of what we've been saying for like 2 years. So yeah, well done GB News, you've caught up. Takes you long enough, doesn't it? Let's have a look. Where are we now? Let's have a look at the bookmarks. Let's see what's in the bookmarks. Boris. Oh, right, yeah. Now, here's a cracker. Here's an absolute cracker. The Atlantic Council org. Right, so they've written a whole article on why Ukrainian NATO membership would actually be good for Russia. And it's all to do with the fact that apparently no NATO country has ever threatened Russia. Well, that's not exactly true, is it? Because I'm pretty sure Poland were threatening them not that long ago. And as far as I was aware, Poland is a NATO country. So I think it's not really true. And the UK's been pretty threatening to them, and I think the UK's a NATO country. And I think America's been quite threatening to them, and America's a NATO country. So I don't think you know what you're talking about, Jens. You're actually talking nonsense. But it's a triumph in intellectual acrobatics to try and point out why NATO membership of Ukraine would be good for Russia. It'd probably be as good for Russia as if Mexico had joined the Warsaw Pact. I can see that getting down well, couldn't you? So yeah, we were talking about Uncle Joe, weren't we? Because while he's being creepy with women, he's also, and we touched on this on Wednesday, that he's been impeached because Burisma owner allegedly has recorded the bride and bribe conversations as insurance policy, and the FBI knew about it and covered it up. So the US attorney is going to go through these allegations with Joe and Hunter Biden recordings, and we'll watch this space and see what happens. Yeah, let's see what happens. It's funny that. Right, where are we? Curtains for new oil and gas. Joe Biden's $10 million windfall in 2017. That was $5 million for him, $5 million for Hunter from Burisma. And apparently they got money as well for the China's Belt and Road because they brokered the deal there. Oh, Nadine Dorries, and that's a one I forgot to mention. He was actually saying that she thinks the Parliamentary Privilege Committee is corrupt. So she's got full-blown attack on them. Well, she really does like Boris, doesn't she? She really has a thing for him. United Nations are quite upset now because the climate agenda is being undermined. At a time when we should be accelerating action, there is backtracking. Well, we've brought this out quite a few times because, and it's like I said at the kind of start of the show, people don't have the luxury of being able to save the planet, because they're too busy trying to save themselves, or they're too busy trying to feed themselves or feed their families or feed their kids. So, yeah, it's a very middle class disease, isn't it? Saving the planet. Having said that, most of these protest groups always have been, haven't they? They've always been kind of middle class. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one that I saw earlier, and this was yesterday. The US General Milley, this is a guy who's head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, isn't he? So he's basically in charge of all the military in America. And he says more than 6,000 Ukrainians are being trained right now, at 40 different training locations in 65 countries, in 33 nations on 3 continents. That's all happening right now. Oh, no, sorry, in 65 courses in 33 nations on 3 continents. And it's all happening right now today. That's just nonsense, isn't it? That's just virtue signalling nonsense, because that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And why are these people spread out across the globe? How are they on 3 continents? Well, why are you flying people? What does that mean? Have you flown people to Australia to train them for a war in Europe? Because Australia's really like Europe. You know, it replicates the terrain really well. No. Right. Oh, Daily Star. Daily Star comes out with a cracker, and we'd all be very, very afraid here. Rare skin bleeding virus with a 40% death rate is highly likely to hit the UK, experts warn. So the Crimean Congo... Why is it Crimean? Crimea and Congo couldn't be much further apart, really. I mean, it's a fair hike from Crimea to the Congo. So the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever has some horrific side effects, including a bleeding skin rash and fast heart rate. Around 40% of those who get it will die. Okay, what's your basis for saying it's coming to Britain? You know, what is the basis? Pardon me, because it gets slightly warmer and mosquitoes are going to migrate all the way up here. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, Bill Gates was in China today, meeting with Xi. So I'd like to know what's going on there, because apparently Bill has donated $50 million to a health institute in Beijing. Health institute, yeah. So we can imagine what that's about. But it's worse than that. What's going on behind the scenes? That's what I'd like to know. I'd like to know what's going on behind the scenes, because $50 million is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Absolutely nothing. So what's Gates up to with Mr. G? Is he trying to broker some deal? Has he been sent in undercover from the American government to try and see if there's some way of getting Russia and Ukraine round the table? Because Ukraine's kind of gone off piste at the moment. They won't sit down and talk, will they? There's some of these people that are so caught up in promoting one side over the other when it comes to conflict seem to think that we can do certain things that we can't do. Like, they seem to think we can shoot down ICBMs, therefore we don't need to worry about people firing ICBMs at us. No, we can't. We just can't do it. Your Patriot is not taking out an intercontinental ballistic missile. This thing's coming down, 3 or 4 times faster than a Kinzhal. You're not taking it out. You're not getting anywhere near it. So, put that out of your head, people. There's no viable way or plan for anyone to survive nuclear war. If it escalates to the point where we're throwing nukes at each other, we're all dead. So, or we're all going to be very, very severely affected. So that's just not good. Do I believe frazzle drip? I don't know what frazzle drip is. You'll need to give me a... Yeah, Bill Gates does have a Mozzie Farm militant. Now, this has been going on for quite a while, this mosquito thing, because he did a TED talk on the mosquitoes that he wanted to biologically or genetically engineer to deliver, or he wanted to change them to deliver things to people that they bit. So, like, for instance, like some kind of treatment, shall we say. And then he was going to release them. And that all happened kind of around the same time, coincidence, that the Zika thing happened down in South America, because there was an experiment down there in the Amazon, and then that Zika thing started, and that's disappeared. I've never heard anything about it since. Have you heard anything about, small-headed babies? They've just gone. And they were supposed to be everywhere, but no, we don't have them anymore. So, strange, coincidental. Yeah, so I remember him doing a TED talk, and he had a big bunch of mosquitoes and a thing on the table, and I thought, if he lets them out, I would be out of the room like a bolt. As I said, Frankie, I don't know what it is, so I need to look at that, and probably not something I'm going to do just now. Where are we now? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the animated Spider-Man movie starring a black Spider-Man, I think, has been banned in the United Arab Emirates, in Saudi Arabia, and in the Middle East. Apparently, or allegedly, due to the fact that a trans flag briefly appears in the film. So they don't like that. Now, Ben's seen this movie, and he says it's not terribly woke. Sometimes I worry about Ben, because I think sometimes he doesn't understand that if you start putting woke symbols and ideology in something, then it is woke, even if it's not as overtly woke as some things. But, the boy's young, and he's probably a little bit woke himself. And he would have been if we hadn't got him early enough and managed to deprogram him. So, anyway, we had thunder and torrential rain up here today. Came down, bloody hell. It didn't do much for the temperature, though. It didn't really bring it down, which is not terribly handy, because I'd rather it was a bit cooler. Did we touch on the? Oh, we did. We did touch on the Green Party in Germany and their inability to run heat pumps. So that's me kind of exhausted the bookmarks. What else have we got? Let's see. What's this? What's trending? Go woke, go broke. Why is this trending? Oh. So is this a Wix thing? Right. Right. So I wasn't quite sure what he was trying to say, but it appears he's come out on the side of trans people and calling people that don't recognise. You know what? It's tiresome. I just find this so tiresome because really, why would anyone care? And why is everyone making such a big deal about it, other than the fact that leave people alone? You know, if you want to go and do that thing, go and do it, but leave other people alone. Don't shove it in their face. Don't try and shove it in their kids' faces. Just leave them alone. And then everybody can get on like we used to. Because nobody really bothered. I mean, it's not a new thing. People have been doing this for a few years, you know. And they're still not huge numbers, despite what you think, according to social media. They're not huge numbers, you know. So it's like, can I be sensible about it and just get on with it? So Wix's, I think Wix's shares have plummeted. Probably quite rightly so, because the guy's just been a bit of a idiot. Right, what else we got? Oh. Yeah. Let's talk briefly about this thing that happened in France, right? So, and two neighbours have a dispute over, I think it's a hedge, boundary hedge. Or they have a dispute over where the hedge is and whose land it's on or whatever, and it's been going on for a while. And one of the neighbours basically does a drive-by shooting and fires at the other neighbour's family and him, and kills the 11-year-old daughter, badly injures the man, and not so badly injures the woman, and the 8-year-old manages to escape and raises the alarm. So it then gets reported as British girl killed by, you know, French neighbour, right? But the guy's not French. So it's one's a British family that lives in France and has been living there for a while. In fact, they've been living there that long that the girls were born there. So they're 11 and 8. So technically they're French. I mean, they might be British because they got they're entitled to a British passport because they got British parents. But technically they're French, so they're dual nationality. So it's a French girl who's shot by a Dutchman. Because the other neighbours are Dutch. So what you have is, you've got a right mishmash of people shooting each other for no apparent reason other than the fact that one of them's, or they're both been fighting over a hedge. So this is what happens when people get forced into living in restrictive conditions. And it just gets worse when you put people in cities and towns and squeeze them in and put more and more of them in and then restrict their movements so they can't get about as much as they used to and can't go places, and they just start to get on each other's nerves, don't they? And then they end up, you know, fighting with each other. It's not a good thing. You've got to give people a certain degree of freedom. I don't think that Spider-Man movie will do very well in China either, because China don't like. They do not. Let's call it what it is. Chinese are really, really racist. They do not like black people. That's just a fact. That's they do things like reduce the size of them in posters and things like that because they do not like to promote, black people. I don't know why. It's just a Chinese thing. But the Chinese do some weird things like eating fish that are cooked while alive and stuff like that. Yeah, they're just Chinese food's like some of it. I mean, the Chinese food we get here is sanitized, obviously, but see when you're in China or Hong Kong, some of the things they eat are just gross. I mean, it really is. Some of it's just undescribably gross looking. And Japan's not much better. That's pretty bad as well. I remember going down for breakfast in Japan and thinking, what am I supposed to eat here? It just, everything looked disgusting. So yeah. Well, yeah, and Shalini's right here, because you get these homogenous societies like Japan and China. You don't get a lot of crime, and you don't get a lot of conflict because they have a completely different cultural view on things as well, and they are tend to be a bit brainwashed. I mean, when I lived in Hong Kong, I remember you saw all the Chinese kids out every morning. We were on a bus going to school, and the Chinese kids were already in the playgrounds, and as a whole school exercising. Doing the old Tai Chi stuff, stroke the fish and all that. So yeah. I don't know when Mariana Spring's coming on the show. I'll tell you what I was watching the other day. I was watching, or yesterday in fact, I was watching Richard D. Hall getting doorstepped by Mariana Spring and accused of doing that to people that he had tried to interview when he hadn't. But she was doing what he was accusing him of doing. She was doing it to him. So, she's just not a very, she's not very, I just get the impression she's not very bright. She just doesn't seem very bright at all. And I don't know what she's got on people that she's managed to wiggle her way into these positions, because I don't think she's done anything of note. I certainly haven't noticed her do anything of note. I know we're jumping around a bit tonight, but let's just go back to Japan briefly, because there was he a black guy, that black YouTuber guy who was insulting women in Japan, and I think he'd been doing it for a little while. I don't know if that was just his thing, but he'd been insulting people in Japan, and I think he got arrested, and then the Japanese police weren't gentle with him. It was all on film, but they weren't terribly gentle with him. Oh. Yeah, indeed. So I think we're supposed to be having Brent Lee and Neil Sanders on Sunday. This Sunday. They're meant to be coming on then, because they had to reschedule from Thursday, which was a bit of short notice, much like I got left with pretty short notice today. Short notice did not come from Ben. I don't want you to think that it did. I knew he wasn't coming. But the short notice came from another avenue. But anyway, yeah, so Sunday we're down for Brent Lee and Neil. I think Monday morning, I think Ben might be on Rise. Then Monday night, we've got the regular show. Wednesday night, can't remember if we're doing a show on Wednesday night or something. Ben's got another day off that he has to take for something. I think it might be Wednesday. And then we'll be back for Friday. So, and he's also got a one-to-one on Thursday, I think. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how this week goes. And we'll keep it going. How have we done? Oh, we managed to do an hour. That's not bad for a guy on his own. An old guy. I'm old, but I'm no Joe Biden. Not yet. Anyway, is anyone got anything else they want to ask or anything? Oh, Eva Longoria is trending. Yeah. I'm just watching Biden. Oh, he's a dirty sleazebag. He really is. She did have to move his hands to stop him groping her. She's had a bit of work done, hasn't she? Because her face looks a bit different from what it used to. Oh, yeah. I'm not a great fan of Biden's behaviour around women. I mean, it was when he hugged Hillary as well, and that like extra long hug on the airport tarmac. He just seemed to go on forever. Oh, right. Where shall we go now? Elon is getting followed by... Well, that wasn't Elon. It wasn't Elon, Andrew. It was a parody account. So, yeah, don't get taken in, mate. It was a parody account. It was Elon's parody account got followed by Hillary and then got blocked. So, obviously, so what's the story with Hillary? Because I think it was one outlet reported that she'd been rushed to hospital a couple of days, last Sunday, I think it was. Yeah, last Sunday. It was reported that she'd been rushed to hospital, but no one has picked this up. No one's covered it. No one said that it's true or not. So I'm not quite sure if it's happened or not. It's one of these things, you never know with Hillary because they'll keep it under tabs. But quite interesting. Oh, excuse me. Oh my God. Right, hold on a minute. Every part of Scotland has been issued with a warning for water scarcity. Get out of here. You can't run out of water in Scotland. It rains, it rains like 11 months of the year. We only ever have a dry May. Okay, it's run into June this time. Big deal. Good grief. I mean, I remember the summer of 76. It didn't... We had like 8 weeks and it never rained once. The tar melted. Ooh. Oh dear. Mr. Putin's been quite abusive about the negotiating nuclear arms reductions. Well, I think China, but I think both China and Russia gave them pretty short thrift when it came to arms reductions because, let's face it, we're not exactly dealing with them from a position of strength at the moment. 76 was lush. You're right, Dreadeye. Oh. Right. I hope I've managed to entertain you to some slight degree this evening. It's quite difficult when you don't have an idiot to bounce off because although he does make an awful lot of invalid points, no, he doesn't. It's good to have a conversation, and it's difficult to have a conversation when You know, these guys that actually sit and do this, just talk to camera without any feedback, it does take a little bit. It's different when you're making a video, because then you're working to an end. But like just now, when we're sitting having a conversation, we're really having a conversation, but we're not having a conversation because I don't get any feedback, you know, other than the chat, obviously. So it's quite difficult. And as I said, I hope that I have managed to entertain you to some small degree, if possible. Oh. Right, so I'm just reading this. Morbid knowledge. I don't know why this guy's appearing in my timeline now, but some of his stuff's actually quite interesting. So, the final photo of James Gandolfini on the night the actor suffered a massive fatal heart attack in his hotel room in Italy. The actor reportedly drank at least 8 alcoholic drinks. Oh, okay, 8. Wow. Big night out. 2 orders of fried prawns and an order of foie gras as his final meal. I mean, he's not a small guy. That's not an awful lot of food. And certainly 8 pints or 8 alcoholic drinks is not a lot. Well, I'll rephrase that. Each of us has their own tolerance for a certain amount of alcohol. So 8 might be quite a lot for you, but looking at the size of this guy, he looks like he could down more than 8 drinks quite comfortably. So yeah, it didn't look like it was that big a night out. It's probably just, it's been an unfortunately been his time. Oh, wow, here's a good one. GB News. Starbucks has been ordered to pay $26 million in compensation to an employee fired for being white. Court finds that Starbucks fired the white manager as a sacrificial lamb to appease a race row. So a New Jersey jury has found that the race was a determinative factor in the firing of a Starbucks regional manager as the coffee giant scrambled to absolve itself of racism claims in 2018. Starbucks has been ordered to pay $25.6 million in damages to Shannon Phillips for unfairly dismissing her after she refused the company's order to fire a white employee on a false race discrimination charge. The coffee shop chain found itself at the centre for a racism firestorm in April 2018 after the arrest of 2 black customers at one of its Philadelphia branches went viral. The 2 men allegedly sat in the coffee shop without ordering anything and were refused access to the toilet before being told to leave or else the police would be called. So basically, she didn't really do anything wrong and Starbucks have having to pay for it now. Although, when you see that kind of payout, that's an incredible amount of money. But how much is she going to get? That's the interesting thing, because I'll guarantee most of that ends up going to the lawyers. Oh. You should call your solo show An Old Man Rambles. Why, thank you, Vaughn. It's been lovely to hear from you. Yeah, I kind of have been rambling a bit. It's just one of these things. I've switched from the hobgoblin back to the old speckled hen. I do like an old speckled hen. I find that that's one thing you English actually do not too bad. You make some pretty good beers. Yeah. And when I say beer, I mean beer. I don't mean lager, because I'm not a great fan of lager. I find it too gassy. Kind of bulks me up. The only time that I did some of the German lagers, when you're in Germany, can be pretty good. Yeah, Andrew says too much blood in his alcohol stream. Yeah, he probably did have. Ooh, right. Right. Where are we now? That was a good result for that girl, though. I'll give you that. I mean, even if she only gets a couple of million, she's made, isn't she? You know, a couple of million would see you all right. I reckon I could muddle by with a couple of mil. Ooh. So apparently, Prince Charles has given Camilla the Order of the Thistle. Before you ask, I have no idea. Apparently, it's the highest honor or whatever, but who cares? It's like I was saying in that other show, you know, royalty and their underclass, you know, the people that do the work for them, like the politicians, and then the people that do the work for them, you know, the civil servants and all that. It's like all these people are working towards keeping this one group in power effectively. It's like, I mean, when you hear things like NWO and WEF and all that, do you think these guys really have a clue what they're doing? Because sometimes I think they just get to sit around tables and have fancy lunches and things and talk a good game. But do they really believe it? Do they really believe it? Do they think they're doing anything? Do they think they're making a difference? Or are they just like paying lip service to it because it's something they can do? You know, I'll take the jet to Davos. I'll have lunch with Klaus, and then you know, maybe do a bit of skiing off piste and get piste that night, and then we'll fly back. You know. And it's like, do you remember when, what's his name, Alex Jones went into Bohemian Grove undercover? And that was quite interesting, because I don't think it was set up. I don't think he stage managed that in those days, because that was really early in his career. In fact, it was the kind of thing that kind of made him, but it was really interesting, because it's like, why did these people do these things? You know, these rituals and stuff, and I suppose it's a bit like Freemasonry and things like that. You know, why do they have these rituals, and do they think it makes a difference? Does it make a difference? You know, that's the kind of thing. If all these people are doing it, does it make a difference? Does it change how things happen? You know, it's just it's weird, isn't it? It's weird. She was on 200k a year at Starbucks. Holy Toledo. Whoa. Holy Toledo. Hold on a minute. I thought Starbucks were franchises. So how could she get fired? Unless she was fired by the franchise owner. And he wouldn't have been paying her $2,000 at $200,000 a year, surely. Surely not. Stella's a cheap beer. See, when you go to Belgium, the Belgians look down on Stella, because that's their cheap beer. That's like buying a Carling or something like that, you know. You don't want to drink that crap. You want the better stuff. Freemasonry is a rabbit hole choice, and I think it will be covered at some point. Abo Hog, that's a new name. I don't think I've seen that one before. Welcome. Allowed access. Both sides have been played through journalists and wannabes long before Alex Jones. Yeah, well, yeah, of course I have. But that Bohemian Grove thing, I must admit, I find that quite intriguing. It's all gathering around a giant owl. You guys seen owls? It's someone exposed an owl's legs the other day. It's like ridiculous. They've got these really long legs, and they don't look it because obviously their feathers hide them. But they've got these really, really long legs. And if you think about it, that's probably because they are like eagles and things. They're a predatory bird. So when they're swooping down, they're sticking out their legs and grabbing the voles and mice and stuff like that. But they look absolutely ridiculous. They're just so funny when they've got their legs exposed because the legs aren't feathered. They're just bare legs. It's just, I found it. It tickled me. Do you guys watch? Do you watch Black Mirror? Is the new season out? I watched the first one. Joan is awful. It's quite interesting, and it's about it was quite good. He made quite a few digs in it, because this girl, a show appears on. She comes home one day after firing somebody at work and all that, and a show appears on Netflix. Although it's not Netflix, but a show appears on screen, and it's like it's her, except Salma Hayek's playing her. It's just like that, and it's even called Joan is Awful. It's her name, and same haircut and everything, same place where she works, same car she drives, and all that. And she's like that. That's me. And then it shows you everything that happened to her that day. And and obviously she's got to explain to her boyfriend why she was kissing another man and telling her therapist that the sex was better with her ex. But it was quite well done. I quite enjoyed it. It was quite funny. It was okay. Charlie Brooker's all right, but at one point she goes to the lawyers to try and get the live stream killed, and the lawyer's like, "No, have you read the terms and conditions?" And throws this printed A4 document basically about this thick across at her. And she's going, "I've never seen that in my life." And he goes, "Yeah, well, you would have, because you had to agree to it." Or she goes, "You would have, because you had to agree to it. It would have flashed up on your phone and you'd agree." She goes, "But I didn't read it. No one reads those things." And she goes, "Well, it's pretty bomb-proof. There's nothing you can do about it." Oh, yeah, so that was quite good. I quite enjoyed that. And I watched Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I do like Nurse Chapel and Strange New Worlds. She's quite attractive. Right. I'm now starting to get her. Yeah, I think that's not bad. I think we've given it a good run for its money tonight. I'm not saying it's been the best, but I'd like to thank you for staying with me through this. And as I said, I'd like to think I've given you some small enjoyment, very small enjoyment in some cases. But yeah, thank you for sticking with me. And I'd urge you to come back when we are again fully formed as a team on probably Sunday, because it should be 4 of us: me, Ben, Brent Lee, and Neil Saunders. And then with Monday night, Ben and I will be back for our regular Monday night show at 9 o'clock. So thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate it. I do love you all, even though I slag you mercilessly. And you know what? I think it's been great.